What has been your biggest takeaway as a veteran in the aviation industry?
I think the experience that I have are from two different business models, the full service as well as budget airline, as well as operating in two different countries. One which are airlines based in Singapore and the other one Vistara that are based in India. So what we have been through in the last couple of years, including the pandemic, would have taught anyone to be more nimble, more agile, as well as to be more resilient, because you can not expect, for example, something like a pandemic to happen. I think that gives us a lot of insight in terms of how to be a stronger and more effective leader.
Can you share what trends you expect from travelers in 2024 and maybe even in the next few years beyond that? And does Scoot have plans for these?
What we have seen post-COVID is that we think there are travelers who are traveling more often than pre-COVID. Maybe pre-COVID, some of the travelers would have traveled once 6 months, once every year, but we have now seen that travelers are coming back more often. Because I think, one, they have not been traveling that much in the past, but at the same time, there are airlines like ourselves who are now venturing into new exotic destinations, which will provide more travel options for our travelers, and I think the trend will continue.
Scoot's fleet will soon include 9 new Embraer E190-E2s, and these planes have a 2x2 seating configuration, which is quite new for Scoot. Why did you choose to expand the fleet with these particular planes, and how do they fit into Scoot's game plan?
I think first of all, in Scoot, we take a very long perspective in terms of how we want to expand our network, what is our network strategy. So after a very comprehensive and detailed evaluation, we find that the E190-E2 is a perfect fit for the organization because it is totally complementary to the Airbus 320, 321 that we have, as well as the Boeing 787. It does allow Scoot now the ability to open new routes where demand is thinner. I think it gives a lot of opportunity for us going forward.
Any comments about the seating configuration?
So this E2 that we are bringing into Scoot fleet is a totally new aircraft. It's something that we are leasing from the market, but it's a new aircraft, and it comes with a 2x2 sitting in an all-economy class configuration that offers 112 seating capacity. So 2x2 means that there is no middle seat, so any customers who fly on the E2, you'll either be sitting along the window, along the aisle, or beside the window.
How does Scoot identify and decide which destinations to travel to? For example, the new planes will be flying to Koh Samui in Thailand and Cebu in Malaysia.
I think when we look at potential of a new route, we look at what would be the current demand that is being served by some of the existing carriers. We look at market data, what is the demand from Singapore, and more importantly, also what is the demand going to be outside of Singapore. Because we not only fly within Southeast Asia, Scoot flies to Europe, Scoot flies to China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and also India. So we look at where the potential of the flow of the traffic is, and eventually the team will do a detailed study to make sure that the projected economics of the route makes sense, and that is where then we decide, for example, Koh Samui and Cebu in Malaysia, and the operating team will then try to operationalize the plan in terms of engaging the ground arrangement as well as working with the relevant foreign authorities.
What are the most popular destinations among Singaporeans and Asians?
Oh, there are many. I think during year end, many Singaporeans would like to Japan and Korea. So I think that are the typical very popular destinations. We have a very strong footprint in China as well. We fly to 17 cities in China, so that gives a lot of travel options for Singaporean who wants to go to China, and not only one cities but multiple cities over a couple of years whenever they travel. Within Southeast Asia, the popular destinations are the standard KL, Bangkok, Jakarta, of course Bali.
Now, some people think that the low cost in low-cost carrier means cutting costs. For example, maybe they think old aircraft is used, or they think the training standards for pilots and crew are not on the same level as full-service airlines, and maybe even the food is not so great. Would you say these are misconceptions?
I think there's definitely a misconception in terms of what is being perceived as a budget airline. For a budget airline, I think it is important for us that safety is the most important. We train our crew, we train our pilot at the highest standard as far as the same standard as SIA. Even for aircraft, they are always regularly maintained, and we also take additional steps to make sure that they are well maintained and they satisfy the requirement by the different regulators. What is also important for Scoot is every aircraft that we brought into the fleet, they are all brand new. So like for example, the E2 that we are bringing into the fleet that are joining us next month, they are all brand new. And the concept of budget is really trying to offer the customers a range of product that tailors to your need. For example, if you are travelers who wants only to buy a seat, I think we have a seat product. But if you do intend to purchase excess baggage, if you do intend to buy any food and beverages on board, I think the airline will offer that options for you. So actually we do have product that caters to your needs.
It gives you choices.
Yeah, that's right.
So the next question might overlap. How does Scoot position itself in relation to Singapore Airlines? And is there any unspoken friendly competition between the two? Does Scoot fill in the gaps in terms of destinations? And what can Scoot offer travelers that SIA can't?
I think first of all, both SIA as well as Scoot belongs to the SIA group. I don't think there is any unspoken rules. The two airlines actually collaborate very well. In terms of deploying a specific aircraft as well to a specific routes, we do have a committee that looks into how the two airlines should expand our footprint. So for example, there are routes that actually budget airline, Scoot is flying only, as well as there are routes that only SIA are flying. But at the same time, there are many routes that both SIA and Scoot are flying. For example, to Jakarta, to Bangkok, to Bali, to Guangzhou, to Tokyo. No? These are routes that we felt that there is a market that cater to the full service as well as cater to the budget. Of course, there are markets that only Scoot are flying because that is a market that we felt that from a group perspective, this is where majority of the travelers would be a bit more budget conscious. But having said that, within the group, we also try to facilitate sales in terms of cross-selling. So any customers who purchase a SIA ticket, you can actually go to the final destination as a Scoot destination. So for example, we just announced Koh Samui that we are launching in May this year. So taking an example, someone who are traveling from Australia or from Europe, traveling on SIA, flying into Changi in Singapore, can then connect onto a Scoot flight going to Koh Samui. So that is where the synergy, the cross-selling between the two airlines will create more opportunities for the group.
Would you say things in the aviation industry and Scoot in particular are back to pre-pandemic norms?
Scoot was among one of the first airlines to be first off the block when borders reopened back in 2022, which is why now we are almost back to pre-COVID capacity. And we have also improved in terms of our passenger load factor, meaning the number of passengers that we carry on board. Both indicators would suggest that Scoot is already back to pre-COVID. For us, it is no longer about recovery. It's actually now onto a phase of a new growth with the E2 joining us, with many other new aircraft that will join us from 2025.
Because like you said, travel is actually booming more than before the pandemic.
There are more travelers to certain destinations now, but because Scoot is among the first off the block, we were able to tap on the demand.
What is one thing that you wish more people knew about Scoot?
I think Scoot is not just your typical normal budget airline. Yes, we are budget airlines that tailors our product to the needs, but again, we invest a lot in terms of technology, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of aircraft, to make sure that we can create a product that would provide a unique travel experience for our customers. And for some of the customers who have traveled on us, sometimes you realize that our Scooties, which are our cabin crew, will perform Scootitude X to try to interact with our customers on board, despite of a lack of an in-flight entertainment system that we do not offer on board. So I think our Scooties are warm, friendly, as well as they engage extensively with our customers whenever there are opportunity to do so on board.
What are Scootitude X?
Scootitude X can comprise of, for example, celebrating specific events. So like for example, the latest Chinese New Year, we will have some activities on board to celebrate Chinese New Year. And then near Chinese New Year, there was a Valentine as well. So there will be some events on board where our cabin crew will engage with our customers on board in terms of activities related to the theme, whether it is Valentine, is it Chinese New Year, or even Christmas last year. So please fly us the next time.
During Christmas?
Anytime.